So people ask themselves if I am the real deal because they want to know, they need to know before they come closer, before they decide to invest to come to my school. Because, yeah, that's true. The videos are awesome, they're educational, they're true, but that's not where it really takes place. Where it really takes place is in the relationship with me, with my very elaborate work, also for you to dig a hole in and wrestle with and do the exercises and whatnot. And that takes place in a school. But people are like, are you the real deal, Petra? Are you? And I understand that question. And of course, um, all these videos, at this point in October 2025, I have around 500 videos on my YouTube channel. So click on my channel and look them up. Most of them are about twin flames. And all of them are about what is relevant for twin flames. That is like why I make all these videos, right? To show you something that I'm made out of, that is what I experienced, that is what I have made come true in my life, that is about what my students have made come true in their lives because of being my students. It is about the twin flame wisdom that I downloaded and accorded. That is because, well, because that made it come true for me, right? That's why I speak of my co-creation with the Christ Masters on Earth right now, because that is how I am able to help you to your true twin flame. Not that I don't know anything. That's the whole point, is that it's an equally valuable co-creation between me and them that makes it come true for you. And I speak about what the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union is, because that is really what it truly is about, although you might not hear that in very many other places or in none at all. Depends on where you're listening. That's why I speak about all these topics, of course, to show you what I'm made out of, what my school is made out of, what you can expect, what our relationship is like, what the topics are, and where they come from, and why they bring you to the consciousness state, and why that consciousness state is exactly what you need to be with your true twin flame in harmony, so that they don't walk away anymore, so that it is committed, so that the door opens to the true abundance that belongs to your soul. But I really heard that that might not be enough. And that is, well, understandable for a part. I do give also things away for free on the regular, and also this fall to winter season, at least in the northern hemisphere, that is, right? Maybe you live in the southern one, then it will be spring to summer. This season again, I will be organizing a couple things where you can already get closer to me without spending a dime, and that's awesome too. And that's also why I give them, I grant them, so that we can meet a little bit and taste a little bit of our relationship, if that clicks, if you feel it too, etc. And that is, for instance, in the social media games that I call the love game or the money game, and soon we'll be doing a money game. And also in webinars, you can have a deeper taste of who I am and what's going on, and what are the deeper secrets that I share, and why do I share them, and what did my students say, etc. So webinars will also again be on the program real soon, so you need to opt into them, say your name and your email address so that I can, even like invite you into that webinar, because otherwise it's not accessible. That's how that tech works. the tech that connects us. I think that's awesome about the internet. It's really, really special to me, always still, that we just can connect over the entire world through audio, video, interaction. I think it's really awesome, and it makes it possible for me to help you and to be with you and to share my heart with you guys, because that's what it's really about. I'm trying to share my heart with you, even sometimes when I make funny videos or sarcastic videos, really now and then when it feels appropriate to do so. Because, for instance, of the not helpful attitudes that I come across in my students or general audiences of people that watch Twin Flame YouTube videos. And I just would like to tickle you a little bit to make something come across that you may not have thought about. And sometimes I also talk about my private situation and about where the journey has brought me and where I came from. That I came from being deeply traumatized in my psychology, and then the whole journey that was not about psychology. NOT, not about psychology. It's really difficult for people to understand as well. I understand, like, why? How did you, what? Yeah, so it is not about psychology. It's about what is beyond psychology. What's your true self? What is who you are in your twin flame union, okay? So, and to approach that deeper and deeper, make that come true more and more without self-manipulation, importantly, as well. And then, as a result of that, your psychology changes. And that happened to me too. And how I came to the true union moment with my true twin flame, and I finally understood who it really was. It was my best friend through decades. And I even started to remember our last lifetime, in which he also was my best friend and my fellow spiritual teacher, just like now. And then we had a school just like now. So I do sort of the same thing every lifetime. But in this lifetime, something was added. In every lifetime, I add just a little tiny, well, you could say twist or like truth. That's actually what that is, a truth. And in this lifetime, I made come true that I could be a genuine twin flame teacher because of my dream come true, having gotten the true work from Divine Mother herself, that then later was accorded, because it was the same, by the Christ Masters on earth right now. That was my heart's desire in this lifetime, to meet them in the flesh, so that this mutual exchange could happen and I could be propelled forward to where I'm now, having integrated that meeting. Meanwhile, me and my twin flame went to the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union 3 months after our union by a deep choice. Like, this is really difficult. At that moment, it was really difficult to actually be together or choose to be together in principle, while that may at that moment still need work. It was really difficult to make that choice, but we made that choice because I made that choice. And that was the moment, like, when overnight, when I went to the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union. And then I went through the entire healing wave that came afterwards for me. And I integrated this whole thing of having met the Christ Masters, which was also the very thing that had initiated me to also become a teacher for you about the very thing that I was now going through. And then I went through a couple of years of integrating all of that. And God sent me some students. And I worked with the students. And then I brought 4 students to the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union, which means they clicked in. They now knew definitively who their true twin flame was. They started the true healing wave. They could potentially be with their twin flame in the flesh now, although that is not necessarily for everyone at that exact moment already physically possible and true, because the physicality is sometimes a little bit slower. And then when that was in their case a little bit slower, it doesn't need to be for you. Then they started to follow that direction so that it can be made come true as soon as possible. For me, I'm a slow example of your slow student of harmonious twin flame union, and then also connecting that immediately with, let's say, living together with your true twin flame, being able to officially start that love relationship and become engaged and get married and that stuff. We had a lot to work out and work through to bring everything in alignment with divine love, of all the circumstances, of the people and the money and the families and all of that. And the inner work, right? But that's not necessarily for you. What I have seen is that what took me decades, or at least years, of struggle, my students do within months. I'm not kidding you. Potentially, you will go through what is best for you in your case. But I have seen one student that did it go to harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state. That means in 4 months and 4 days. And that was really record breaking. And she did that. Well, she wrote also a beautiful blog about how she experienced how she did that with me. And that is on my website. So on my blog, on my website, should you want to read that, there it is. And she basically described there that she did it by, well, letting go of everything she thought it was. And everything that she thought, she believed that she had to do. And she just let that all go. And I guided her there. And then it happened. Which proves that, very many people are stuffed full of ideas of what they think they need to do to be with their twin flame in union. And most of it is, well, bullshit. I'm looking for a positive word. Untrue. Self-sabotaging when you do it. So yeah, that was the right attitude. So she could go there in 4 months and 4 days because of the right attitude. You need to leave what you thought you knew. Okay, so am I the real deal? Am I who I say I am? Am I the twin flame teacher that is here to bring you to harmonious union, the consciousness state? Is it true that I say that that is what you need and not something else? Am I the real deal while I cannot yet show you the pictures of me and my twin flame kissing each other? Because that would, for our situation, in our development, in our legit harmonious union consciousness state at this moment, still be disrespectful to do that. That's why we don't do that. Because it is not a race. Who can show the most French kisses the soonest? That's not what this is. And it is something that you also would love, and that's understandable, and that's nothing wrong with that. But it's not the foundation. We have needed to build on this foundation of friendship, of deeply understanding each other's wounds, of deeply feeling in our own hearts what needed healing, to correctly savor this love and approach this relationship in a fresh way, in a new way, in a different way than we did in the past, because we already knew each other for a couple of decades, physically, in this lifetime. We're just the stupid ones that needed that, okay? That's our responsibility. That's why we do that. Our feeling of being gentle with our own hearts, our way of being loving towards the situation that I cannot yet say many things about, because that would be disrespectful. But that doesn't mean that I'm not in a harmonious twin flame union. If you only knew how incredibly good I feel, healed I am, is beyond belief. And not as a high. It's like, oh, I had this higher heart opening. Like 5 days, I was out of this world. And then it fizzled out and I was just confused. And I lost my job because I forgot to go there. And I forgot to eat. So now I'm also sick. No, dude. It's about the peace in the heart and the being healed as a peaceful experience in all daily life normalness. Turns out that's what you really desire. So for you to go to harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state, I will guide you there. I will guarantee you that. Of course, you need to keep on doing your inner work and not step out of that train. If you step out of that train, well, then you blew my guarantee. But you can step in again and I will still guide you there. You go to harmonious twin flame union and you arrive. And if it is for you that already the next day you indeed also stand in front of the altar to get married, I would want that for you. And that can be legit. Let's see how it will be exactly working out for you. And that is the same with this idea like, am I legit? Am I who I say I am? Does this door to abundance open? But Petra, you're not having a couple zeros on your bank account yet. Show your bank statement to us. Well, it's not there, isn't it? So, am I who I say I am? For me, personally, I had to, after harmonious twin flame union, that comes first. for everyone. There's no difference. You're a human being. That comes first. After that, personally, because of my reasons, because of my silly situation, of my humble human beingness, don't be like me. I had to go from a situation far below zero and climb my way up. So, and now I'm, a little bit above zero, and I'm gonna climb higher. I have the direction. I'm free. I'm spiritually purified. I am in harmonious union. I did the healing wave. Man, you have no idea how peaceful, how satisfying. I was very deep below zero, so I did the work from below zero to zero. That's the direction. I think it's very educational that I am an example for you for that. I worked my way up from tens of thousands, a number below zero, in money to zero. I worked my way up from being deeply traumatized by narcissistic and sexual abuse in my childhood to walk that path of that complete and utter 100% healing to that 0 point where I had a sane self. I redid my childhood. I got rid of the mental, emotional, nervous system, memories, all things physical in my health, in my being, in my concrete psychology. Got rid of all of that. And I worked my way, because in narcissistic abuse, you don't have a self. You're at -1. That's a video I made recently about how you could say you're at -1. Or maybe you could say -50,000. It doesn't really matter how you would like to express it. But the idea is that you don't exist. You're like a minus person, a minus human. And you need to go to 0, and then you need to go to 1, and then you have a normal ego, and then you need to let go of that ego so that you can be in union with your twin flame. So this was my order of working. I went to that beyond place of harmonious twin flame union, and then that gave me the possibility to grow from minus to 0 and to 1, to be a person, and then to let that go and let the entire harmonious union consciousness state that I, on the background of all that work, already had tapped into, take over everything. And that was also a whole movement that I needed to do. But maybe you don't need to do that movement, and you are already a healthy person, a self, a +1, so that you don't need to do that. You just need to surrender that into that harmonious union consciousness state. And that takes you also less time. Well, good for you. I want that for you. If you don't need to do that whole climbing thing from below 0, I want that for you, right? You go, girl. You do it better than I do. I want that. But you need harmonious twin flame union, the consciousness state, first. So am I the real deal? Am I really who I say I am? Well, personally, I think it's very, again, also in this regard, very educational that I went through exactly these things, so that I know what there is out there for you to potentially go through. That is also completely worth it. And if you do it better than me, more power to you. Twin flames in union means that deeply spiritual, you can't see it, core of what you essentially are, comes forward to be lived in the flesh. So whatever you need to do to make that your reality needs to be something in that invisible, you can't see it, spiritual layer of life so that you now can live it in the flesh. My work is about that deeper layer of this is what you need to do when you close your eyes and there's no visuals, there's no form or physicality, to be able to live with the twin flame in harmonious union in the flesh. So, in a sense, unfortunately, what I do is invisible. What I do with you, for you, is the invisible work that you need to make your entrance into the world of harmonious twin flame union lived in the flesh. That is my work. And in a sense, how slow or how quick I am doesn't matter for you, and in a sense is also none of your business. It's certainly not a topic in my school. My school is making you go through that process. And if that sounds like hocus pocus to you right now, I understand. That's okay. I assure you that it is logic, it is grounded, and it is true. But in the beginning, I also didn't understand this. I didn't get it. I didn't have an overview over how this all worked. I was a student just like you. I could only see as far as this. Like, not very far and very physical. And it is not about the physicality. But physicality follows, guaranteed, where that inner work has been done correctly. And in that sense, and I've seen that with all my students and in my private life too, day after day, miracle after miracle, it always happens. The physicality always follows. But we do that spiritual stuff that sort of pre-shadows it. Is that a right expression? Well, who knows? I always remain very Dutch. My mother tongue is different. So we're just guessing if everything comes across. I hope so. Am I the real deal and who I say I am? If I would not be, I would not dare to show my face. This was also the difficulty in the beginning, to start to show my face, to start to say something, have something to mention, make YouTube videos, invite you to social media challenges, take you into coaching calls. That was the very difficulty, because I felt as though I wasn't a real deal, because, well, I had still this enormous amount of stuff that I needed to work through, that needed clearing in my psychology, when I was already initiated as the twin flame teacher and in harmonious twin flame union in my private life. But I still needed to work through in my healing wave, my after harmonious union healing wave. I needed to go still through, well, this whole psychological gunk, and I worked through it, and that's how I'm able to be here, because I did. And what was all this what was this whole gunk? Well, feeling shy, ashamed, guilty, feeling like a fraud, just not feeling courageous at all, wanting to hide, feeling like I had all these things, also all the things that like narcissistic victims have, like, how do they say that? Like persecutory delusion. I thought I was going to be prosecuted. if I would say something that was true, and it was already true for me, and I was already in harmonious union, and I was already initiated as a teacher, and Divine Mother was already telling me all the time that, after 1.5 decades, now you need to come forward, and do it and say it. And I worked my way through that. And now I am, like rid of all this karma, all this stuff, all this trauma. And I can simply say, yes, I am the real deal. And I am who I say I am. Because Divine Mother acts through me. And it's not me who does it. But we need me. And we need me to be taken seriously for what Divine Mother says for your union to work for you. So I hope this helped.